Morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Spurred On podcast. It's the morning after the night before. I'd love to say that my croaky voice is the result of a 2-0 hangover where I've been drinking all night because I was so excited us being 2 points clear at the top of the league. But alas, I've been ill. But it doesn't stop the daily content from coming. Guys, make sure that if you want to listen to the Spurred On podcast every single day, maybe when you're out running or you're driving on a podcast, then just go to the search engine of your favorite podcast platform, be that Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google. Just type in the Spurred On podcast, give us a follow or a subscribe. And also, if you want to watch this on YouTube, if you're not already, go to youtube.com/@BarnabySlater_. But let's get into our match review. As I said, Tottenham Hotspur 2, Fulham 0. Goals scored by Heung-Min and James Maddison, with the assist from Richarlison for the first one, and Sonny got the assist for Maddison's second. All in all, I've heard people talking about it being a professional performance. It was a game we were expected to win, of course it was, but Fulham are a difficult outfit. They got a point at the Emirates this season with 10 men, and Marco Silva is a manager that I really rate. He's a very good coach. He got them playing very narrow. I'll talk about that a bit more. But I think we shouldn't underestimate the importance of this win in a game where previously, I think you'll all understand if you're Spurs fans, which I assume you are, you go into these games where you got the chance to go back top of the league and you just imagine that we're not going to quite get over the line because we've seen it so many times before. But again, for me, another example of how this is a new Tottenham Hotspur, how our manager Ange Postecoglou is really getting something into these players and the whole club, in fact, about winning mentality, and that the way to have a winning mentality or to gain a winning mentality is to be on the front foot at all times. And that's what we were last night, certainly for 70 minutes. For 70 minutes, I thought it was one of our better performances of the season, maybe one of our best performances of the season. Maybe I'm being a bit kind with 70 minutes because in the first 5-10 minutes of the second half, we were sloppy and we were slow out the gates from half time. But certainly the first half, we were really excellent front foot stuff. Really, really enjoyed watching it. I had a text from a friend of mine at half time kind of saying he didn't think Deki Kulusevski was having a good game, and I just said, I have no idea how you found a negative out of that first half. It's really difficult for me to find negatives in Spurs at all at the moment because, you know, I'm still suffering from the last 4 years and remembering. When I say suffering, I mean like remembering what it's been like to watch Spurs feeling like it's a chore, and just watching this team having all the possession, you know, giving it to Romero, and he's just got his foot on the ball kind of at centre-back, kind of getting further and further forward, drawing the players out to try and press him. And other teams, they don't want to press him because they know that's where we open up and make our patterns and moves through the gears, through the field, and make chances. So I'm very excited about it. I just think Fulham will take points, just like they did at Emirates. At the Emirates, they'll take points off people all this season, home and away. And this was a perfect opportunity for them under Marco Silva to really, you know, show what they're all about and make it difficult for us, just like they did in the Carabao Cup game. But I never thought they were at the races really until 17 minutes when we made a raft of substitutions. And actually maybe the one that I think made the big difference, and maybe a lot of non-Spurs fans would be surprised by this, but when Destiny Udogie went off because he had a little bit of tightness, we really lost something in our midfield. You know, even though he's the left fullback, when he inverts and he's playing in that midfield, it's not only that he's there as a number to, you know, give space to other more talented players on the ball, other players who can make chances or score goals. He's actually so brilliant on the ball when he gets the ball to feet in tight spaces that he can create those chances and make such a threat himself. In that first half, kind of first 25 minutes, I remember a few times where he got the ball and his first touch was on the half turn and taking it past opposition players, where I was like, wow, oh my God, what a player. Like, what an unbelievable player. I've mentioned it before. I saw him in the first game in person. I saw him, for the first time in person against Shakhtar Donetsk at the Lane just before the season. And when you see someone in person and it's the first time and they really show you that they are talented beyond your wildest dreams, it's such an amazing feeling. And he really did, and he's proving it every game. I really hope his tightness was just coming off a precaution, because I think if we don't have him against Palace or Chelsea, then we would really, really miss him. He's become such a pivotal cog in this kind of juggernaut of Tottenham Hotspur going forward. As I mentioned, I thought Fulham were good, played very narrow, made it very difficult for us. Also, though, toothless up front, and that wasn't unexpected. I was on a podcast. I was on the Spurs Show podcast, I think, last week, and they talked about the fear, the kind of classic Spurs fan fear of a script where Carlos Vinicius would come back and bite the hand that used to feed him and score against us. And I just said to them, you don't need to worry about that. And there you go. He got the hook at half-time. Not a Premier League player, unfortunately. Nice guy. Works hard, but not good enough. And obviously, I think some great coaching from Ange Postecoglou. James Maddison mentioned it in his post-match press conference. He had played with Calvin Bassey earlier on in his career when he was a kid, he said. Knows that he's a good player, but not right-footed. So we pressed him on his right foot every time, and both our goals came from that. I want to mention for the first goal, obviously, one incredible finish from Sonny, but Mickey van der Ven was the player who came and pressed in the midfield after Bassey's pass, and his first touch when he pressed to get it into Richarlison was magnificent. And then Richarlison did the easy thing, which he doesn't always do. I thought he had a great game, Richarlison, but doesn't always do the easy thing. And there was definitely a point in the second half where I think he tried to do a kind of trick piece of control, maybe on his shoulder, and I saw Postecoglou absolutely screaming at him. But for that first goal, his pass into Son was brilliant, and then Son, shaped to shoot, let the defender commit himself, took it round him, and then classic top corner finish. We've seen it so many times with his right and his left. You know, Man City quarter-final of the Champions League a few seasons ago, very reminiscent of that. His 50th goal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, when I heard that stat, I was like, wow, how has he had time to score 50 goals at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium? Incredible. What a player. We're so blessed to have him. The face of the club. Sign him up, give him 20 years, make him an ambassador. What an absolute legend. Moving on, got to talk about Vicario. He made a couple of saves at absolute vital times. 0-0. That save from the header from Paulinho, I think it was. That is not a regulation save. One-handed into the corner. Firm wrist to get it away as well. Really impressed me, Vicario. I was on the Last Word on Spurs podcast after the game last night. Great podcast. And I was asked about Vic because I used to be a goalkeeper. And the thing I say is Gianluigi Buffon says he's the future Italian goalkeeping. And that is enough for me. Buffon, one of the great goalkeepers ever to have played the game. So the moment I heard him say that, he had no skin in the game either, Vicario. No need to say it other than he just thinks Vicario is full of talent. And those saves at vital times are very important. He's just, he's a presence as well. Like, you know, Hugo Lloris, a legend for the club, deserves a testimonial and a big send-off when he does finally leave. But Vicario is a presence as well. So Lloris used to make amazing saves, but I never really felt like he would scare opposition defences from crosses and corners and stuff. Vicario, much more of a presence, brave, great shot stopper, very exciting to have him there and making a huge difference. It really is making a huge, huge difference. Christian Romero I want to talk about. He was my man of the match yesterday. I know that Maddison was given it by Jamie Carragher, by Alan Smith, on Sky. And Maddison had an amazing game, but Romero, just his defending, he's like a Rolls Royce, and his partnership with Van der Ven, nothing I can say is new, but both of them played brilliantly. But Romero, for me, just kind of put the fires out. Whenever it looked like they might break on the transition, which they look quite dangerous at times, he had it completely under control. I thought a little bit, especially in the first half, excuse me, maybe we could have been more clinical. We did play some unbelievable football and nearly scored a couple of absolutely beautiful goals, one particularly where there was a back heel, I think, into a doggy who had a chance. But was there a couple of opportunities where we could have shot earlier? Perhaps. And maybe that kind of leads into a little bit of what Ange kind of allured to in his press conference afterwards, where he felt like we took a few liberties with the game. I certainly feel like we did get a little bit complacent in the second half. Maybe it felt a bit easy for us, and we need to keep on the front foot, because in the Premier League you will get stung even if you take 2-3% off. And maybe we were trying to score the perfect goal in the first half a little bit. I want to talk about Maddison and Sonny's pressing. Both goals came from that. I mentioned it a bit earlier, but 10 out of 10. No wonder they get taken off at 75 minutes every game, because they press so hard. And Ange has really got that instilled into them, and it's amazing to see. I love how quickly we win the ball back after we lose it. I just love it. It's so exciting to see it. I mentioned earlier Richarlison. I thought he had a great game, worked really hard, got in some good positions, And I'm pleased to have him on the left. He, as I said in a previous podcast, I've got Everton fan mates who say he plays best off the left. I agree. I think he will score, and you can call me on this, I think he will score at least 10 Premier League goals from the left this season. It's just about getting his confidence in front of goal. That one that he hit just wide, perfect opportunity for him. He did everything right. It was just a tiny bit unlucky. As I said, I felt very strong performance until 70 minutes. Then the subs kind of changed the game, made it more scrappy. I think it's almost unfair on subs to bring them all on at the same time and expect them to succeed and to have a good game. We got to the end. I think when it comes to it and one has to come in like Højbjerg did, who I thought played well, and just take the place of a suspended player, I think that's their best chance to play well with a team who already know each other. So I actually don't have any doubts that all of our reserve, our subs and the squad will do well when they have to. But when they all come on at the same time, it feels a bit unfair. Going to finish with my ratings. I've got Vicario at 7. I thought Pedro Porro played brilliantly. I've given him an 8. Romero 9, as I said, man of the match. Mickey van der Ven 8. What a player. What pace. Covering when needed. Impossible to get round. Destiny Udogie 7. Hope his tightness isn't too bad. Pierre Højbjerg came in, did well. A 7 as well. Pat Matassar, the engine room. Legs. So brilliant for how young he is. I've given him 7. James Maddison 8. Again, yeah, my second man of the match probably. Richarlison 7, Sonny 8 because of that finish, and Deki Kulusevski 7. No one under a 7 out of 10. Great performance. Roll on Crystal Palace on Friday. A chance to go 5 points clear. Going into my birthday that's on Saturday as well. Come on, Ange. Give me the best birthday present ever. Come on, you Spurs.